there, but your radio, you know, if you have some spare radios, handhelds that you're not using all the time, maybe just if you know if you keep in a drawer or whatever, put it in one of these bags first. I'm also going to buy some Faraday material to make a cover for our HF rig, which we don't use the HF very often. But if something did happen, like an EMP or some kind of war or something, we would definitely want to be able to talk on our HF rig and find out what's going on other than just close proximity to our home with the 2 meter. So I'm going to make a Faraday cover for that HF.
Company I worked for before I retired made LED bulbs, high voltage transformer in there to energize that circuitry. So induced voltage into that transformer from the EMP could destroy the other components in that.
That's good to know then. It might be if you did buy some of these or plan on getting some of these, at least put one in an EMP bag or some kind of Faraday cage. Yeah.
Talking about Faraday cages. Well, in order for a Faraday cage to work properly, it needs to be grounded.
I heard about that too, and then I see other stuff that says no.
Yeah, I've seen both in that.
It needs to be grounded.
Where I worked many years ago in the service, we had a Faraday cage for testing emergency radios so that transmission wouldn't go out. It had to be grounded.
And I have read both ways too, like Jeff said. So, you know, I believe what you're saying. So I don't know if this will even work, but if it's better than nothing. If it'll keep our radios from getting fried so we can use them, you know, and get some communication going, I'll do it, you know. Mark.
The bags that ground coffee come in, I know there's other ones, but I tested to put my phone in it, and it works like that. So stuff like a antenna analyzer or an HT, we just save the bags, and there's always stuff that'll fit in there. Now the grounding, ungrounding, I don't know the answer to that either. But I do know a cell phone won't work from inside one of those bags that's got the foil on it.
Okay, so that's good to know too.
The reason it needs to be grounded is all that static charge that's built up gets shunted to ground.
So what happens to it if you don't have it grounded? What happens to that charge?
Well, the house took a direct lightning hit. It's still siding on the house. There was a huge static charge on the siding there. In my son's bedroom, all his toys just started turning on. It melted the bottom piece of siding on the house. Went to ground. If I would have had my siding grounded, it would have protected a lot more stuff.
So where did that charge go once it did all that stuff?
But eventually,
Into the ground.
its way to ground.
So what would your imagine that an EMP happens, which is different than a lightning strike?
Pretty much the same thing. Very close.
Is it?
Yeah.
Lightning strike is actual electricity striking something, and an EMP is an electromagnetic wave or pulse. Is this okay? So it is the same. So it is actually electricity going through the air. Is that an EMP? Okay, so in the case that happens and we have something like this, where is that static charge going to go?
Well,
at some point?
Going to stay within that.
Going to stay in there?
Yeah. Eventually, it'll dissipate its way to ground.
So what's inside?
It's just a thin mylar film.
Well, I know that, but so if that were to happen, and at some point that static charge is going to go away, can what's inside be safe? If it's not receiving that charge because...
Well, like what I just described with my son's electronic toys. They just went crazy because there was a static charge, what, thousands of volts.
So, but that static charge was able to make its way into the house.
And eventually.
And I think that's what
the
the reason that this has to be completely touching itself in all.
What saved my house had a surge suppressor in the electrical panel. So it uses something called metal oxide resistors, and it clamps the voltage on the lines to a certain level.
Okay.
And that protected everything inside the house, but everything on the outside, all my motion sensing lights. Right.
But see, my question is, I'm wondering, because this is inside the bag and it's not receiving that static charge.
I know what you're asking, but I
think
answer for it.
That's
Charge typically stays on the outside of.
that's the point of the bag, and that's why you have to have it touching itself and sealed in such a way so that the whole bag doesn't have an inlet for the charge, that the charge stays on the outside. And that's why I'm wondering what happens to the charge once it finally leaves this. It just goes to ground somewhere, right? Finds ground. So if what's inside will be safe if that charge can't make it inside, like it could your house, because it could get into your house, because your house isn't sealed like this would be, where the whole pouch itself is.
The best thing you can do is take an old ammo can
Yeah.
and set it on a concrete floor. It's got a ground cap. You got a pretty reliable Faraday.
Yeah. Right. Just not everybody wants to do all that, so these kind of come in handy, especially for things that, I guess, for when you have multiple things. And this was a lot cheaper than buying ammo cans that are metal and actually, they're not cheap anymore, and they're all full of ammo.
All right.
John.
Back in the day before they hardened the chips, you used to have a wrist thing that you wore on a clip to the ground when you were working on CMOS to keep confusing the junctions in the CMOS. I imagine this would be something similar, but you had like a metal bench top or something like that, and laid it on the metal bench top, and that went to ground. Probably lay it to dissipate the static charge. Or you could repair this.
Well,
Jeff?
from what I understand, like I have a trash can, one of those metal steel trash cans.
Yep.
Then you line it with
Cardboard.
The stuff that's in there is sealed up. And then they might say put some electrical, same type of tape over.
Metal tape around the top.
So if something goes out there, it gets zapped, it'll go around it. I don't know where it'll go after that. It'll probably go on the ground eventually, but stuff inside should be safe. Now, if you're a power station or, and it's down the street, that's a whole different thing completely. But for small stuff like this and your radios, I think.
And we also have one of those. We have, like Jeff said, a garbage can. I've got it on the list. It's just a steel garbage can with the steel lid. We lined it, like Jeff said, with cardboard, and then we actually set styrofoam in it. But before we did that, we took metal tape, and if you put a flashlight inside the trash can and shut the trash can at night in the dark, you'll see if you have any space where light is coming. Then you need to put metal tape on there so that there aren't any holes. But we also did that, and then we also put styrofoam in there, and then we made layers. So each thing we have in there isn't touching anything else, the can or any other electronics. And we have layers, and then we have radios in there, and whatever, my Kindle I think I have in there because I might want to read my Kindle if the power goes out. I don't know. Not that I couldn't read a book, but
I think you could probably buy empty gallon paint cans and put things inside there, and then you put that lid on. That would be a pretty good electric.
yeah, I would still probably put metal tape around it, because if you take that metal top off, at some point it might bend just enough You know what I mean? So I would still probably put metal tape around that. But that's something else that we've tried, and maybe none of it's going to work. But hey, you know, we're going to do our best to try to keep some of our electronics working, and hopefully these things work. But these you can put in your vehicle too. These are easy to carry with you versus something big and clunky. So, and if you don't want somebody tracking you, you can use this to put your cell phone in when you're traveling too. Honestly, they don't work, so you can't be tracked.
You speaking from experience?
I'm an inquisitive mind. I have an inquisitive mind. Like a what if?
Does anyone know you're here tonight?
Let me answer that.
Google knows.
Okay, so number 11, guard critical electrical equipment against EMP, or try. Maybe it won't work, but try. You know, try to keep your radios from getting fried. A nuclear weapon detonated at a high altitude will generate an electromagnetic pulse so powerful that it can destroy electronic and electrical devices. At the very least, unplug all devices from electrical sockets and antennas, which we always have our HF unplugged. We don't have the antenna plugged in, and we don't have the electrical outlet plugged in. We always have that unplugged unless we're going to use it. Unplug all devices from electrical sockets and antennas. Placing radios, flashlights in a sealed metal container is a Faraday cage, may protect from EMP, providing the items being protected are not in contact with the enclosure. That's the idea of the cardboard in there, to completely line the inside and the top with cardboard. The metal shield should surround the protected item completely, and it helps if it is grounded. The items to be protected should be insulated from the conductive shell, since the EMP field washing over the shield can still induce voltage in solid-state circuit boards. A metallized space blanket costing about $2, wrapped securely around a device wrapped in newspaper or cotton, may act as a Faraday shield, helpful if one is far from the blast. Number 12, be prepared for subsequent attacks. Most likely, a nuclear attack will not be a singular event. Be prepared for another strike or strikes by enemy nations, or an invasion by the attacking party. Keep your shelter intact unless the materials used are absolutely necessary for survival. Collect any excess clean water and food that is available. However, if the attacking nation does attack again, it will likely be in another part of the country. If all else fails, live in a cage. A cave. I don't suggest that. I mean, we're not California. We don't have caves to live in. But all right, so I do have some links to items that you could get. Some of them we've actually talked about before, and I think you were all here at that time. So I'll just quickly go through this stuff. Like I said last week, come on. Oh, for crying out loud, TV. Can't ever give me a break. You know, we saw this last week. It's one of my favorite items, my most favorite items besides food and water, is that light. I love it. So that's on your list. And the solar charger, battery pack, another good one. I like this one that we have here. It's got the 4 solar panels on it. It's not as strong as Lee was talking about. Some of them are stronger, but it works.
So the higher the number,
This one is this is a 25,000.
so the higher the number, the supposedly charges quicker, or is that safe? Quick?
More power.
More power.
More available power.
The one that I have is not as.
Use high cluster radio.
Okay.
That one is currently unavailable.
Well, if this one's unavailable, you'll be able to get one like it. You know, it'll say You know, you'll know what to look for.
There's millions of
This
them.
one's 25,000 too. Anyway, I think that's a cool little item. Most of you probably already have one. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it always helps to refresh our memory on some of the stuff, or maybe some things that you've forgotten to get for your preparedness. The radio also, I still push that. Got to have a radio. It's a good one to take with you. Here's something you might not think of, and Bob laughed at me until Howard decided, yeah, we should get those. Then Bob said, okay. Sandbags. You never know when it might come in handy. You know, like that was where we were reading about piling dirt up along the side of your home. If you have time to do this, you know, before the big bad thing happens, sandbags instead of piling dirt on your home, because you really don't want dirt on the stick part of your house is, obviously, because it'll start rotting. But if you have sandbags and you know there's a nuclear exchange imminent or something, you know, if you can have them filled already, would be perfect. But we bought them. Yeah, well, shh. And we can build a bulletproof bunker to protect our, if you have enough of them.
Protect your LED lamp.
Well, somebody's got to. Just saying, they could come in handy, and they come in a roll, and it's like this big. I think we got 2 rolls, this big, and they're this long, and they take up that much room. So you throw it in your basement, and you got them if you need them. Just never know.
Thanks a lot, Howard.
He liked it when we talked about building a bunker with him. That's what got him. We're all about bunkers. All right. This is what I have here. The toilet seat. It's just a camping toilet seat. It could save you from a lot of trouble if you need to stay in your basement for a couple weeks.
Especially if the bucket's all roughed up.
And if you can't get outside for 2 weeks to go, you're going to have to go somewhere. They're cheap. The next one is safety goggles, because at some point you're probably going to have to go outside, and you want safety goggles. Bob pointed this out too. You want safety goggles that don't have the holes in them anywhere, that, you know, fit tight to your face and don't have any air holes or venting holes. That they're cheap, $2.99. You know, get a few pair of them, throw them in your preparedness box or whatever, and you got them. But that's going to keep the stuff, because like that guy was talking, you don't want it in your mouth, your nose, your eyes, your ears, anything that it can get into your body. So that's something, you know, little things that you might not think of. To go with that, you might need something like this, a chemical suit. Also pretty cheap, $10, with a hood, keep you completely covered. Then you put some goggles on and a face mask, and you know, you got to go outside. You are pretty covered. You're still going to probably want to wash your face, but you are pretty covered. What is our next one?
Yeah, that's it.
So I looked it up, these face masks, like this one, is like $260 Saturday. And they do come, you can get them too with a bottle, which the hose actually goes into a secured spot so you can drink water while you're out walking. That just
You can put anything in that bottle you want.
water.
And you just sip it. And so you don't have to expose your mouth. If you're walking you're walking home from work and, you know, the thing happened and you need to put something like this on, you can still drink without taking your mask off. Just something to think about. This is, we have 2 of them.
I was gonna say,
We're not going to share.
which one of you?
Your turn. We have 2. We don't have them in our get home bag though. It would be ideal to do that, but. Oh, and plastic sheeting, like I said, if you wanted to close off a room or you've got a room that, you know, whatever, it's just good to have that kind of stuff. Duct tape, cover all the holes. Well, hopefully the bathroom isn't your safe room.
My place it is.
Oh, well, then you might want to do that.
Only safe for so long.
Then you might want to get some plastic and seal off that.
Take my lumps.
You might not think that way if it happens, though. You might wish you had done something. For if you want to get a trash can like we were talking about, like Jeff was talking about, the aluminum foil tape, $9 at Menards, 50 yards. You're never going to need that much. The trash cans that we got when we built the Faraday cage trash can one were not like the ones that they have now. This is, I could not find a Barron's that did not have this rim around the top. It's supposed to be squirrel proof or rodent proof or whatever with that rim around the top. That's going to make it harder to seal it with your metal tape. So if you can find one that doesn't have that rim, I'm sure hardware stores still carry some that do. I just like Barron's because they're sturdy. The lids actually fit on top and there's not a lot of air in between the lid and the can itself. That's why I like the Barron's. But you can get another brand, but just make sure you use more tape to get it sealed up if you do choose to go that route for a Faraday.
Putting aluminum foil around, tying the aluminum foil. So
The reason I didn't use aluminum foil is because it rips. It rips too easy.
Yeah,
we
right,
we
but I
did
mean-
try aluminum foil and it just got to be a mess.
But I mean, if worst thing happens,
Sure.
aluminum foil would be a lot more useful than a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It doesn't seal though with like, I mean, if you don't have anything else, yes, absolutely. The problem with aluminum foil is, oh shoot. It doesn't stick, so it doesn't seal. So you can still get that.
Well, you have to put a string around it or something, to tighten it up so you actually get a good
Yeah,
electrical contact
could do that.
with the metal.
You could if you didn't have access to some of that tape. Yeah, aluminum foil would work. It just wouldn't work as well. Is this strip on all the time or off? Oh, it must be on. This has got a light on it. Okay. So that's the one that I like is the Barron's just because it's made a little sturdier. $35. Well, that's with the rim on it. And like I said, I don't like that. I'm sure you could still seal it up, but that makes it a heck of a lot harder.
Lee, you can probably find them cheaper. Just go to your neighbors, dump your trash out.
We'll go there at night, we'll help you out. We'll try our Yeah, we'll get her done.
You all know what a nuke alert is?
What?
Nuke alert. This little gadget. Okay, so they're kind of expensive. $170.
Holy.
It's a little radiation detector. Now, people have asked me, why don't you just get a Geiger counter? Because I don't want to carry a Geiger counter with me. This you can actually put on your keychain if you want, take it anywhere you want. You can put it in your pocket, you can put it in your purse. You can leave it in your car. You can buy a couple of them, one for at home, one for your vehicle. But this will tell you, and it actually has a little diagram on the back.
It'll start clicking faster as you're getting radiation.
And it'll tell you, see if there's a better, well, anyway, this, you can see that. It'll tell you the measurement of radiation, and I don't know what all that means. It did come with instructions, or you can look it up online what all that means. But it will click. You can hear it. It's clicking right now, and that's normal. And that clicking will get stronger, louder, and then I think it actually makes a squealing noise when the radiation gets to the point where you need to get away. But that's guaranteed or warranted for like, I think it's no, I mean for a number of years.
If you die, you get your money back.
It's a 2-year regular warranty. Yeah, 2-year regular warranty, 10-year prorated warranty, whatever. But we've had it for probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, and it's still just doing. The battery is a 10+ year battery, says so. But it's something, you don't have to shake it.
Oh, it's radiation coming out the lights.
I can actually hear that at night. I have it on our bedroom dresser, and when I'm laying in bed and the TV's off and it's quiet, I can hear it. Tick, tick.
You put them up against granite.
Will it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Granite rock will.
Well, that you aren't going to have the radiation from an EMP anyway, because a nuclear bomb for an EMP explodes up in the atmosphere. So it's not the radiation that gets you with an EMP, it's the electromagnetic pulse to take out infrastructure and stuff. So that's not, you aren't even going to need that in that case, unless they send a regular bomb afterwards. Yes, then yeah, maybe it would, yeah. Well, and you don't want to keep that in a Faraday cage because then it's useless. So.
A mantle with one hole in a lantern is actually radioactive.
Okay.
Probably put
Test
next
it.
to that and see what it does.
Actually, after a couple months that we had that, we had a big CME, and it started ticking a little bit faster, like within a day or two.
That's cool.
It didn't tick real fast, and it didn't go loud like it was in danger, but it did tick faster.
What about like out in the sunshine? I suppose if you had it outside here to CME or something, probably take you faster.
Maybe, I don't know. I never took it outside to see.
We're still in kind of a solar activity mode.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to peak within the next year. They were thinking next year, but now they're thinking it could actually start peaking this year. So they're sending, was it NASA? Can't remember what we were watching. One of them, one of the space things were warning that it could be actually this year.
One would have to think that if somebody is going to do an EMP, take the time to explode a bomb someplace, it would be above, say, Monticello in our area, above the nuclear power plant, rather than above the city of St. Cloud. So we might be protected that way.
Well, they're probably shielded, but they'll probably, they do it 400 miles above the earth,
Right.
centrally located over the United States. To try as much as they could.
Yeah, it won't just get the nuclear site. It'll get a broader area than that.
Yeah.
All it takes is a 200-pound thing on a satellite. That's the scary thing about it.
Or a balloon?
Too low.
Too low?
60,000 feet's only going to have it.
Okay.
Think of the, you know,
Fly in here.
The higher up it is, the more broad it is, and then if the more powerful of a blast, so like North Koreans, if they wanted to really mess with us, this fly.
Yeah, it's a fly in here.
Yeah. So, but ideally 350, 400 miles above it. a bad entity wanted to wipe us out, that's what they would do. And it'd probably be somewhere over Kansas.
And it wouldn't be so much wiping us out as people,
No,
it would be taking out our infrastructure. So they would be taking out power plants mainly. And so once enough of the power plants are down, it shuts everything down because it's all interconnected pretty much. Yeah, so that's probably what they're going to go after is our electric grid, which they can do through cyber attack too. So, you know, I don't know. All right, one
You got another
more.
comment over here?
Yeah, Denise, just if anybody's interested in 2006, Congress commissioned a study that you can download. And it's, I don't know, it's 30 or 40 pages, but it gets into all the EMP stuff. And it's pretty frightening because that says that there is an effective EMP and there's various, so they could be more or less effective depending on the height and how they're engineered. But a good one, we said in a year, 90% of the population in the United States will be dead.
Right. After an
Not
EMP.
us, of course.
Yeah, not us, because we have our radios. Well, you'd be prepped. Yeah, and that's why it's yeah. People don't think that, well, it's never going to happen. Things like this are never going to happen. And maybe we can hope that it never does happen, but stuff can happen. And CMEs, right? Natural stuff like the Carrington event.
Then you get subtler things like if they just shut the power grid off for 3 days, 4 days, just to wake people up for whatever their nefarious reasons.
Right. Or a cyber attack on the power grids. All right, so one more thing I wanted to show you on a link. And I know most of these are on Amazon. It's just easier to search on Amazon, but you can buy them in lots of different places. So last week I talked about getting some kind of container to put things like this in. So if something happens, you're not running around your house looking for your
gas mask.
Gas mask.
I bought one of those and I don't know where I put it. Somewhere in my apartment.
And do you have the canisters also for them? Okay. So that's just the thing. You don't want to be running around. You aren't going to have time to run around. You're going to take your crap and go, right? It's like a tornado. When you hear that tornado siren go off, you don't wait and go get some food and go get some water and go, go get this and go get that and then go downstairs and or go outside and look for it. Probably. But, so something like this, we have one of these for our patio furniture. We just keep our cushions in there. We don't keep it on the furniture itself because it gets wrecked by the sun, it gets wet, and then you can't sit on it. But one of those would work perfect to put a bunch of like your buddy heater and your camp stove and the different things that you're going to need in your toilet seat. You might need your toilet seat.
Make sure you put it down.
It was right. And some food, some freeze-dried food, whatever that you're going to need in case of an emergency like this. Get something like that or get something smaller. This one is, what was it, $119. But that way you can keep everything together. You can probably put, a couple jugs of water in there and it's all contained, and somebody comes over to your house and your stuff is all in one place, but they're not seeing all the stuff you got, because you don't want to tell everybody what you got, because when something does happen, you're the first place they're going to go. I'm up here telling you all that we got stuff, but it's only because I want you to be prepared too. The more people that can be prepared, the less people are going to come and try to get it from you, right? What?
Nothing.
Jeff is he just wants to know what he's drinking. Really.
Oh, Kool-Aid. Drinking the Kool-Aid. So,
I want whatever you're at.
165 gallon. What's the size on it? Does it give you dimensions?
It's about this wide and about this deep and about this high. But they have smaller ones too. This is just the one that it's just to give you an idea.
That's pretty inexpensive.
It actually is. you can put a lot in there. You can probably put all your preps in there for something like a nuclear whatever, or whatever the emergency is. You might not be able to fit all your food in there depending upon how much food you have stored, but all this kind of stuff you can definitely put in there. And then it's all in one place and you know where it's at. One thing.
Really well.
So just a few things, some more suggestions at the bottom there. Food, water, sleeping bags. You can put sleeping bags in something like that. Blankets, maybe not a cot, depending upon how small it can go down to. Pillows, clothing, cards. Something you might want to store in a preparedness area is cards and games, books, medicines, bags for garbage and your waste, a Bible, just things that you might need for a couple weeks or even longer. You might be down there for a month, but you want something to distract your time, take up your time too, not just sit down there and worry what it's like outside. So especially if you have kids, you want something to keep them occupied. What, you big kids? Me?
No, well, I'm just saying, my brother and I were talking, and he's a Gen X, I'm baby boom right on the tail end, right? He says at his house down in Rogers, if his stuff goes offline, within minutes, the kids, wait, what's wrong with the internet? I can't move. Their whole, we're all kind of glued to the phones, but it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's out for weeks. What are these kids and people that are younger going to do?
They're gonna have panic attacks,
Yeah.
be full of anxiety because
It's
social
an
media.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
Because we have to deal with it. What are you gonna do? A bunch of people freaking out?
I'd love to see it happen. I really would. Just watch the kids just get all worked up.
Well, if you have kids, you want something to distract them away from that kind of stuff. You're going to need something for them to do,
Yeah, that's just kind of
maybe some sleeping pills to get through the initial, I don't have my cell phone.
Here's mom. Kids, have this.
There's some Kool-Aid.
So you're telling me I gotta stock up on my bourbon?
You might.
Yep.
Oh, that's another thing that I don't have on here, actually. And maybe we talked about that before, but alcohol, not only can it help if you're hurt or you need to disinfect or you're very depressed or whatever, but it also is a good bartering item. It is a good bartering if it ends up where you end up bartering for things that maybe you don't have that someone else does, but alcohol is a good bartering item, and so is food.
And nothing else is flammable.
Yeah, that's true. You could probably light your.
Man, I'm gonna need every bottle I got.
Your breath is
So I guess that's all I have for tonight. I was hoping to get to the get home bags tonight, but no, that's not going to happen. But next week we still should be able to finish up. So next week should be our last week. And we're going to probably have like 3 topics, but they're each kind of short topics. So we should be able to finish up.
Denise, quick item on EMP. If you have a vehicle that is pre-fuel injection and pre-electronic ignition, you can expect it to operate.
Does it have a computer?
For me?
Does it have a computer?
No, if it's pre-fuel injection.
You're talking like 1960, early 1970?
About 70.
I'm hoping. That's what we're counting on.
And then there's the pre-Duramax and the pre-Power Stroke. I don't know what it is for Dodge, but the pre-Power Stroke and pre-Duramax diesels are mechanical fuel injection, and those will run as well. So if you're thinking about a vehicle that you really want to make sure it'll work in that scenario,
Buy a government issue because they're all EMP proof. There's nothing on them. That'd be your best.
Military.
You'll need armor plating because you'll be the only one out there driving.
Just need a turret on the top and Howard.
We got a pretty good bumper on. I got a pretty good bumper on mine. I ain't.
Yeah. You might not really have too many places to go, but Heather. Heather. Tonight I let you pick because I really don't have anything nuclear oriented. So this is one of those lights.